Okay, everybody. Well, this is Mark again here with our third lesson on playing the open-keyed Irish flute, or any open-keyed flute for that matter. And the first day we talked about just getting a tone. Yesterday, or in the last lesson, we talked about playing that first octave, getting all the fingers covered, finger holes covered by using the pads of our fingers, not the tips of our fingers, but the pads of our fingers. And playing in the first octave. Today, I want to talk to you a little bit about getting into the second octave, as well as some of the finger stretch challenges on a larger flute like a low D open-keyed flute. Because it's open-keyed, because the finger holes are set so far apart, people with medium to small hands, a lot of ladies, some young people, even some men, who have different size hands, mine are medium to medium large hands, will have a difficult time making the stretch. Now, there are a couple of ways you can do that. One is by using the index and middle, placing the index and middle, placing the ring finger on the flute in between the last hole, and then using your pinky to cover it, because that'll give you a little bit more stretch instead of using index, middle, and ring. Or you can use what is commonly called the piper's grip. Now, the piper's grip on a low D flute will probably just require changing the grip in your right hand. Probably looks left to you on the video, but in the right hand. And the piper grip is accomplished by using this middle section of your hand. Instead of this pad, you're using the middle section of the index and the middle finger to cover the first and second hole in the right hand position. This enables your left, or your ring finger, to literally, I mean, you can see, I don't know if you can see, but as I slide my hand forward, it gives me greater reach with my ring finger. So the piper's grip would be like this, and then with my ring finger, now, there's certainly nothing wrong with doing that, and the piper's grip has been used by several of our customers to be able to make that reach if you find it difficult. So, you can have index, middle, ring. You can have index, middle, and pinky with the ring finger set on the flute between the second and the last hole, or the modified piper's grip to allow you greater stretch ability. It just takes some practice, but pick whatever way works for you, whatever seems the most comfortable, and stick with that. Now, if we've gotten through the first octave, okay, we want to get into the second octave. How do we do that? Well, we do that by increasing the strength or speed slightly is the key, with in the embouchure to get into the second octave. With every finger position in the first octave, there is another octave above it. So all closed is a bad one to start with, but let's start with all but the last one closed. This is the first position. Now, if I blow slightly harder, next one, next one, and so on. Now, you get the idea. One exception to that is what is commonly called the high do. All closed is low do, as in do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. The scale that the mnemonic device used for all scales in the major key: do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. In this case, D, F sharp, E, D, E, F sharp, G, A, and so on. I'm not thinking well on my feet here. So anyway, we go up the scale to play all closed, first position. A little harder will give us the high do. But a much clearer and easier to achieve high do is achieved by lifting off the index finger of your left hand. So the first octave from low D to the high D. Almost lost my grip on the flute there. Now, how much harder do you have to play for that high D? Hardly at all. In fact, if you just go up the scale, you're going to get it. So here's what I would encourage you to do. Start with all closed. Lift the index finger, blow slightly harder to get the octave. And on each finger going up the scale, maybe in just in the bottom, go as far as you can, and try to go up and down 3 times on each note, like this. Sorry. Like that, and just keep working on that until your brain begins to figure out how much force you need to be able to play in either octave, because it really is a partnership between your hands, your brain, and your mouth in playing an open-keyed flute. Now, playing in the second octave requires just that little bit of additional force consistently enough so that you don't drop back down into the second octave. So I'm going to start with the high D, with the high do. Now, this looks like the high do, but it's the high do. It's the top of the second octave. All right, there you go. So don't worry about that at the end. You can work on that if you want to. So playing into the second octave just requires slightly more breath pressure. The other thing that it may require is that you narrow the breath stream just a bit. It requires a tighter, more controlled embouchure to consistently get into that second octave. This is true the higher in the second octave you go. Fingerings are the same. The beauty of this is that those same fingerings are used no matter whether you're playing a low D or some smaller keyed or lower keyed open. If it's an open keyed flute with 6 holes, the fingerings are going to be exactly the same. Let me show you one of the beauties of that. Let me grab my E flat. All right, this is my E flat major flute. Now, there's a difference in size. Okay, I better hold them this way so you can see. There's a slight difference in size because the camera, everything's backwards. That makes it harder. This is the difference of E flat versus D. So the D flute is slightly lower and in a different key. So what if I learned to play a song, for example? How about this one right here? All right, you get the idea. So, well, I can play that in D, but I don't have my D. I just have an E flat flute. Or maybe you purchased a major key flute, but not in D. The fingerings are exactly the same to pick up another major key and play the same song. So it doesn't matter whether you're playing in the key of E flat, whether you're playing in the key of D, whether you're playing in G or F or A. It doesn't matter if you learn the fingerings. That's why playing the scale on a low D is exactly the same as playing the scale on an E flat. Now, the actual notes are different, but the scale is the same, which means you can play the exact same song with the exact same fingerings. So, we start with getting a good tone. We move next to being able to go up and down the scale with proper finger coverage, whether that's index middle ring, index middle pinky, or a modified piper's grip. We work on transitioning from the first octave to the second. And we work on the scale. So start with all closed on the low D and work all the way up the scale. Don't forget all open is a note. Okay? Sometimes beginners forget that all open is a note. Okay? All open, right before the high do. Okay? So don't forget about that. That's very, 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 very important. I hope that helps you. Again, I'm enjoying sharing these video lessons with you. I hope they're helpful. And by now, you should have enough to be able to start getting you into the second octave. If you struggle with the second octave and you just can't get it, keep after it. It's almost like magic. And I shouldn't say that because it makes it sound like it's unattainable for some or accidental. It's not. But practice will do it. Your body will begin to learn your instrument. Continue to practice. Keep going after it. And every new note in the scale you can get is a victory. And if I can help in any way, you let me know. Contact us here on the YouTube channel or send me an email, mark@mywhistleandflute.com, and I'll help you any way I can. Have a great day. Enjoy playing your open-keyed flute, and we'll see you in Lesson 4.